Hello students, my name is Derrick Gillespie and I'm welcoming you once again to the Gillespie's online learning channel right here on YouTube. This video was created specifically for social studies students of high schools in Jamaica and the Caribbean. The unit we'll be looking at in this teaching video is communication and media literacy. And at the end of this video, you should be able to define what you mean by, or what we mean by communication, understand what media is all about, and what it means to be media literate. We should also look at the various forms of communication and the media, and what are the skills necessary to make use of these various forms of media, and what is the importance of media in our lives, and how does media impact us? How does communication and media impact our lives as we relate to the various forms of media in our society? So welcome, and my hope is that you will learn the important concepts summarized for you in this teaching video. Now, first of all, we need to quickly look at what we mean by communication. And as you can see on screen, at the top of the screen, a definition has been created for you. Communication, which is exactly what is happening now as you watch this teaching video. This process involves the transmission or the passing on of information, whatever format that information may be in, from a source to a receiver, and the understanding of the message or the information that was sent or transmitted by the sender, and the understanding of that message or information sent either by voice, by sound, by print, by electronic, audiovisual, or internet media. And so while you watch and listen to this teaching video, the process of communication is taking place as this video created by myself, the teacher, the sender, created the message, the information that you need to have in the format of a teaching video. So audio-visually and electronically and by way of the internet, you are getting the information that I am transmitting to you, the receiver. And it is my hope that at the end of this presentation, you will understand the important concepts of the lesson and will be able to give feedback in terms of showing that you really understand the message being communicated. And that is what communication is all about. Now, for you to better appreciate how communication can take place effectively, let's look at one form of media and one form of communication apart from me teaching you through this teaching video. Here we go.
Princess, where are you? It's very spooky in here. I ain't playing no games.
Well, at least we know where the princess is, but where's the
dragon?
DreamWorks Pictures invites you to a land of fairy tales.
Hey! Oh, no. Dead girl off the table.
Where are we supposed to put her? The bed's taken.
What?
where an unlikely hero
You definitely need some Tic Tacs or something, because your breath stinks.
rescues a fair princess
You didn't slay the dragon?
It's on my to-do list.
from a nasty villain with the help of his trusty companion.
This is gonna be fun. We can stay up late, swapping manly stories, and in the morning, I'm making waffles.
This summer, one name spells action.
You're not exactly what I expected.
One name spells adventure.
How about here? Before this is over, I'm gonna need a whole lot of serious therapy.
One name
Don't look down.
Trick, I'm looking down.
spells romance.
It's no way to behave in front of a princess. Wow, she's as nasty as you are.
Come on!
There's an arrow in your butt!
And that name is
Shrek.
Trick.
Thank you very much. I'm here till Thursday.
Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, John Lithgow.
You love this woman, don't you?
Yes.
You wanna hold her?
Yes.
Please her? Yes. Then you got to try a little
Shrek.
Wow. Let's do that again. No.
Okay, so there you saw one form of media. This is what we call a movie trailer. For those who have not yet seen the animated movie feature called Shrek, you might have been encouraged, you might have been excited by this trailer, this video clip that was created specifically to arrest your attention so that you may want to watch the very, very popular movie called Shrek. Now, that video clip, what is called an advertisement or a movie trailer, was created by a sender for the purpose of communicating a message to the listener, the hearer, the watcher of this video clip. And it was intending to solicit a response from you. So it may want you to go out and watch the video. It may want you to discuss with friends and family this movie and generate interest so that you will have more people watching this movie, and the creators of the trailer would in the end market the movie more successfully and would make more money. That is what we mean by communication. So the trailer was created by the sender. You who watched that trailer or movie trailer would understand the message being sent, and a response would be expected from you, where it would be intended by the creator of that movie trailer for you to want to go out and watch the movie, so that in the end they would make a profit for creating that movie. That is one form of communication. That is one form of media. Now on screen, you're seeing basically what we mean by communication. So communication refers to the transfer of information from one source to a receiver. And whatever is transmitted or transferred as information can be in various forms. It can be, like you saw in the video, it was giving you facts. It wanted to also create a feeling as you watch that movie trailer. Ideas and experiences can be passed on and transmitted, desires and even commands. Now, there are 4 basic steps in the communication process. The first is to have the sender creating the message or the information that needs to be passed on. Then a medium, a method of communicating that information is created, such as the movie trailer that you saw earlier, such as this teaching video that you're watching on YouTube or via a video presentation. And you are the receiver of that message, and whatever your response at the end is considered the feedback. So the 4 steps of communication are, the first step in the process is a sender creating information to be sent through a medium, and that medium can be in whatever format, which we will look at shortly in the lesson. It can be in the form of a video clip. It can be in the form of a teaching video like what you're watching now. You who receive that message is considered the 3rd step in the process of communication, and whatever your response at the end, your feedback is the final step in the communication process. Now, in order for communication, as you're seeing on screen, to take place, 4 components are brought into play. So you have the sender, the source or point of origin of a message. The sender puts the message in a form or a medium. In other words, whatever method is chosen to communicate that message to you. This is referred to as encoding. So presently you're hearing my voice speaking to you in English, using English sentences. So if you don't speak English, you would not be able to decode the message or understand the message that I have created in the sentences. If you can't read English on screen, you would not be able to read the sentences and the words and the letters that are combined to communicate a certain message. So once the message is created in a certain format, that is called encoding, and the receiver should be able to understand that message in whatever language it is. Then the method that is used to transmit, it can be sounds, it can be written, it can be pictures, it can be audio visual, such as you are watching and listening this video presentation on YouTube as we speak. That's the medium. You are seeing it via the internet on your device, whether it be your laptop or your tablet or your phone. So all those are the various media, the methods by which the message is being communicated to you right now as we look at the topic, communication and media literacy. You who is getting the information is considered the receiver. So the person or persons to whom the message is directed, the receiver interprets and analyzes the message received. This is referred to as decoding. So you will be able to analyze what I'm saying in English because you speak English and you understand the encoded message in the sentences I'm using, or the encoded message in the words and the letters and everything combined on screen for you to understand what is being said to you. And the feedback, the response given, that can vary in a wide variety of ways. It could be that you respond by watching the movie trailer and go out to rent, go out to download, go out to watch the movie Shrek. Or in understanding of this lesson, you are able to define the words that are on screen and give information back in a test. That is what we call the feedback. So I repeat, the 4 steps and processes in the communication process are: you have the sender, the medium, the receiver, and the feedback. There we see it summarized nicely for you in a simple diagram. And notice the communication process can be something that is continuous. So feedback can go back to the sender, and the sender can also respond to the feedback coming from the receiver. That is the communication process. Now, feedback does not necessarily have to be an elaborate reply. That feedback can be as simple and a short reply such as, "Yes, I understand you." Feedback need not be immediate either. However, it must be stressed that If there is no feedback, then communication has not taken place. In other words, if at the end of watching this lesson on YouTube, what I am trying to communicate to you in the lesson, you don't understand it at the end, it means that I have not effectively communicated the information on the topic, communication and media literacy. So understanding, decoding of the information being transmitted by the receiver is important before you can consider communication to have taken place. Now consider the following example. I'm reading it on screen for you. John has sent a love note to his classmate Jane. Upon receipt of the note, she looked at him in disgust. Has communication taken place? Certainly. Because she received the message, understood what his intentions were, and she's not interested, so her face gives the feedback that she doesn't like him and she's not interested in his love note or his interest in her. Now at this point, it should be pointed out, dear listener, that communication can be categorized into two major groups. Verbal communication, where the spoken word is used or the written word is used. So it can be either in the form of a speech, or it can be in the form of a song, or it can be in the form of written information in books, in magazines, in newspapers, in test papers, in handouts, in worksheets. Verbal. Oral or written. Oral meaning you're using your mouth to speak the words, speech, or you sing a song, or the information can be written. And then there's what is called the non-verbal. In other words, words are not being used, but information can be transmitted in the form of symbols. So you see a stop sign on the road, or you see a dollar sign, or you see an icon on your desktop to start a game or an app or a software. Symbols. Photographs, very illustrative. Pictures, signs, body language such as gestures. Just the look on somebody's face can tell you how they feel about something, whether they're happy or sad or disgusted or annoyed. You also can have information in the non-verbal format, such as a dance. Dance can be expressive, or you can look at art or sculpture. So I remind you that communication, whatever form it takes, can be categorized into two groups. Verbal, using words, whether written or spoken, or sung. And it can be unspoken, without words, where you have symbols, pictures, signs, body language, gestures, dance, art, etc. Okay, now that we have looked at what communication involves, let's now look a little closer at what we mean by media. What are the various media in which information is transmitted? Let's look quickly at a video clip which summarizes what media is for us.
So what is media anyway?
Media?
Media refer to various channels of communication between a person or persons and their intended audience. Television, radio, newspapers, and the internet are different types of media. One of the oldest forms of media is print. Thanks to ever-changing technology, our exposure to media is almost non-stop. Media shapes our perception of what is real. It surrounds us in the forms of billboards, signage, and even the clothes you wear. We have radios, televisions, computers, and smartphones. We have the internet, online video channels, and all sorts of social media. So stop and look around. Media is everywhere, and it's not going away anytime soon. Learn about it, understand it, and hey, be media smart.
Okay, students, so there you have the quick summary explanation of what the various forms of media are. It can be in so many different formats, but those are quick examples. So I would advise you, as you're seeing on screen, pause in your environment, whether it be at home, or it be at school, or it be in the library, and look around you. Make a list of the various forms of media that you see in which information is being communicated. So I'll give you a classic example. The phone that you are now using, or the tablet or the laptop, would be a major example of what you're using in your online classes. So you could start the list with that and then look around and see all the various forms of media, whether information is being communicated verbally or non-verbally, whether by words or by sounds or by pictures or by body language, symbols, whatever. Make a list and see how they benefit you, and determine for yourself whether or not you can use those various forms of media that are in your environment. So let's do a quick summary of what we have learned so far. Media, this is, as you're seeing on screen, is a collective word describing all forms in which information is transmitted or stored and communicated, and includes sound, print, audiovisual, meaning sound and things that are seen together, like in this video you're watching and hearing. Internet formats, those are examples of the various media in which information can be transmitted or communicated. Examples of media will include books, print media, newspapers, magazines, television, which will be audio-visual media, videos, DVDs and CDs. CDs would be sound media, websites, internet media, social interaction platforms like Zoom, when you have your Zoom classes, or YouTube, or Facebook, or Instagram, and the list is almost endless. Those are the various forms of media. Now let's delve a little further into what we mean by media literacy, by recognizing that it's much more than just being able to read and write, being able to read a book or being able to write. That's what literacy is, but media literacy is much more than that. Let's watch a video clip as we learn some more about media and media literacy.
Media literacy is not only the ability to understand information being presented to us, but also determining the best way to respond to it. When we say media, we are speaking about the way people communicate around the world, whether it is through print, radio and television, the internet, or new forms of media. For the past century, mass media has been produced by corporations or state entities that control the content of messages communicated to the public. These organizations edit news, advertising, and other information before the public sees the final product. New digital technologies, such as social media, allow for a new, freer flow of information. No longer do we rely solely on one source of information, but our information comes from a wide variety of sources. In addition, each and every person has the ability to contribute to the public exchange of knowledge. Of course, the information that we receive may still be biased, so it is important that we understand how messages are created and consumed in all forms of media. This understanding is the definition of media literacy. So, how do we make sense of the diversity of information being presented to us at a faster pace than ever before? We can do so by gathering, analyzing, and reflecting on that information so that we can better understand how and why a specific message is being delivered. We can start by asking questions, such as, who created this message? How is it constructed? What is being left out? What is their goal? Do I agree with what is being said? Is this message targeted to a local, national, or global audience? Who is it intended for? We can also look for information with diverse perspectives in order to produce thoughtful responses. By doing so, individuals are empowered to form their own opinions and are less likely to be swayed by the information they consume on a daily basis. As individuals learn to evaluate information and media resources for themselves, passive citizens and consumers are transformed into engaged and active participants of the knowledge economy.
So from that video clip, we learn very, very importantly that literacy or media literacy is much more than just being able to read and write. And as you're seeing on screen, I have summarized for you the main points. So media literacy involves much more than just being able to read and write. And it includes as well all the skills involving making use of the formats in which information is stored and transmitted, and being able to assess and make proper use of the information gathered or received. Now, examples include, in other words, being literate in the world of media. Examples include being able to create and access information via social media forums like Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, or being able to make use of websites, or to do research online digitally, or being able to verify information as being true or false, etc. It involves simple skills like being able to create an email and send an email, being able to access an email, to open and to read and to reply to that email. So it's much more than just being able to read and write. It involves all the various skills needed to function in this complex world of all forms of media. Now, when you think about it, every day you're exposed to large amounts of information, especially from what is called mass media, information created to reach large numbers of people at one time, whether it be through your television or your newspapers or your radios or the internet or via books or magazines, you name it. Information is created to reach large numbers of people. Each individual is expected to be able to assess, understand and assess that information and to determine whether or not the information is true or helpful, and how you can make decisions based on the information that you are receiving. So the world being complex as it is, with a whole lot of information coming at you from various sources, media literacy is very important so that you are able to function effectively in a world where you have to assess different types and pieces of information and act upon what is either true or false. And so the last video clip in this lesson, I'm going to share with you now the importance of being media literate.
Every day, we spend 8 hours exposed to different forms of media. We practically live with it. It keeps us entertained, informed, and opinionated. Media influences us through news headlines and information we see online, on TV, and hear on the radio. It creeps into our daily lives subtly and subconsciously through magazines and advertisements that create and recreate standards of success, beauty, and living. To movies where we are exposed to violence, fantasy, and crooked ideas about love. Even the music that enters our ears are part of media's influence. And every day, our brain processes all these sorts of information from a variety of sources. And sometimes, we no longer wonder whether the information we receive is true or not. We believe it right away. We react to it right away. We no longer are watchful with what enters our minds. We no longer think twice before we respond. We no longer can identify ourselves from what influences us. Yes, media brings people together, It can make us laugh, think, consider. It can make us feel right. But if we're not careful, it can also fill our minds with false information and can make us confused and upset. It can affect our thinking, even the things we desire and who we eventually become. So how can we guard our minds? How can we train ourselves to evaluate and filter information from media? We can spare a lot of assumptions by simply verifying information. The answer to that is being media literate. Being literate is simply taking a step further, digging a little deeper, considering a little longer, and thinking a little harder about the information we get from media. Because what you expose yourself to affects you. Be media literate. Guard your mind, guard your life.
Okay, so as we come to the end or towards the end of this lesson, let's recap. On screen, you're seeing the three main ideas in this lesson. Communication. You can pause the screen and make note of the definition. Media. Media literacy. Very important that you distinguish between these three concepts in the topic. Communication, media, media literacy. Now, before I close, I would like to share with you some additional pieces of information which may be helpful in your study. So I'm going to be scrolling on screen additional items of information which you can pause the screen, take screenshots, or read slowly and carefully and make short notes as we come to the end of this lesson. Okay, here for instance, I'm sharing with you that one form of communication is nonverbal in this format or method of signs and symbols. Feel free to pause the screen and to make note of important information being shared. Another form of nonverbal communication, body language. Feel free to pause the screen and to read along and make note of important information. Additional information on telecommunication. Pause the screen and learn a bit more about the television. Learn a bit more about the telephone. learn a bit more about radio. And of course, the internet using satellite technology. There are also other more recent forms of communication using the fax machine, for instance. So you can read up about the fax machine. And of course, the internet. Email. More information on email. The World Wide Web, www. Learn a bit more about that. And we close this lesson with one additional piece of information. Another method of communication rather, is for the blind. So they use what is called Braille. You can read up on that, pause the screen, and learn a bit about the Braille, the touch and feel method of communication for the blind. There is also method of communication for the deaf called sign language. Pause the screen and do some reading on that. And you can do your own further reading using the internet. Let me hope that this lesson was informative and it has given you the basic points needed to delve further into this topic, communication and media literacy. Thank you for listening, students. Success to you as you study this unit.